we're going to continue on with this note here. I just want to warn you that these questions are tricky. So seeing something multiple ways is difficult, but it is important so that you truly understand what is going on with these transformations. So for each function g of x, describe the transformations from a base function. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our solution for a. So a says g of x is equal to 2x. So right away, I'm really hopeful that by now you can at least see that the base function is linear, or y equals x, okay? Moving on from there, we can then decide what transformations are taking place. So I'm sure that 99% of you right away would see this 2 and say that a equals 2. Hopefully, you would recognize that this means it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. Now, what might be more difficult to see, or what only a few of you might be seeing, is that this could also be a k. So if I rewrite this, g of x is equal to, if I wrote it like this, maybe people would be more inclined to say that this were k. So we could also say that this is 2, or a k of 2, which means that we have a horizontal compression by a factor of 1/2. Remember, it always has to be 1 over k. Moving on, I just rewrote b for you. So g of x is equal to 9x squared. So right away, I see an x squared. I should know that my base function is quadratic, or a y equals x squared. Now, again, 99% of you are probably going to take a look at this and say that a is equal to 9, and we're going to have a vertical stretch by a factor of 9. And it is a-okay to say this, by the way. Either of the answers that I'm giving you are going to get you full marks. So if you looked at this and you said, perfect, a is 9, vertical stretch by a factor of 9, you're getting full marks. Some of you may look at this, and I'm just going to rewrite this again, and you may say, oh, I see a k of 3. So when I look at this, I know that 3x squared is equal to 9x squared. So some of you may be seeing a k of 3 in there. And so you may be saying that there is a horizontal. Now a k of 3 does mean that I'm having a compression. Anything bigger than 1 for horizontal is a compression, by a factor of, and again, we know that we have a 1 over k, so a factor of 1/3. Here's a point where I really want you to be pausing the video, and I want you to try. If we were in class, I would give this to you and I would give you some time to do it by yourself. So the function I'm giving you is g of x equals the root of 16x. So for this function, I want you to tell me the base function, and I want you to tell me 2 different transformations that you could have. One will be probably more obvious to you, and you might have to think about the other one. Pause your video now and attempt it by yourself before checking the answer. And here's your solution. So the first thing that you probably saw is the fact that there is a 16 inside of the square root here. So for this one, it's a little bit different. For this one, it looks like the k is more obvious to us. So right away, this looks like we have a horizontal compression by, I'm going to erase this here, not enough space, a factor of 1 over k, so 1 over 16. Now, what might not be as obvious would be to somehow try and come up with an a. So I know, I'm going to just do a line here, I know that if I have g of x is equal to root 16x, I can rewrite that as root 16 root x. We know this about radicals, like we know that we can separate it like this. So this can become 4 root x. Now that I've done this, I can very clearly see that I have an a value, or a number in front of my function. So I can see that a is equal to 4. This would lead me to know that I have a vertical stretch by a factor of 4. Now, I haven't mentioned this, and I should have. Hopefully, you got that the base function is root x, or a radical.